From the Department of Communication in Phillipsburg, this is a special edition of Inside Government with Cedric Peterson.
To our audience here at home and around the world, you are now Inside Government. If you've been following our series of public service to you, the people of St. Martin, PSC celebrating their 10th anniversary in the year 2023, and we're going through the various departments that service you, the people of St. Martin, directly. And our journey this week takes us inside the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor, inside the Department of Collective Prevention Services, and specifically Section Youth Healthcare. We have Representative Miss Ivanca Sterling joining us in this edition of the program. Ivanca, it's great to have you.
Hi, Cedric. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to have you. How are things with you?
Pretty good, thanks.
I want to thank you for joining me as we continue in this journey through government, talking about services that we render directly to the people of this country, yours falling under specifically youth healthcare. But before we get into the various services under your department, share with us a little bit about your service to the people of the country. How long have you been a civil servant?
Well, I've been a civil servant for the last 8 years here at the Youth Healthcare Department. We fall under the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor. I've been here since 2015. I previously worked at the medical center for 5 years before coming here. I did my schooling in Curacao at the IFE, and then I returned back home as soon as I could.
And it's great to have you back servicing the country and offering that much needed service that we need, because St. Martin, of course, being a brand new democracy, we need as much help as possible. So it's great to have you on the ground with us and doing the wonderful work that you're doing. Youth healthcare. Give us some insight into youth healthcare, what services are provided.
So we have several services that we do here at the Youth Healthcare Department, mainly the baby clinic. We call it the baby wellness clinic, but in the public, everyone knows it as the baby clinic. We're here located at the Vineyard building. We also have the school program where parents get to know us via us sending them information leaflets about the vaccines that their child may need. So when you come, the first thing you do is come with the baby. So you just had your baby, you're happy, now you need some more information. So you come to us within the first 2 weeks of baby being born to set up your appointment. So when you set your appointment up, you can do it via telephone or you can come to the building itself. If you're doing it via telephone, you can call us at 542-3003 or via cell 520-4163. You can also send us a message and then we will be getting back to you on the appointment that you will get. You will visit us between the first 2 weeks and the first month. That is that we can help you get through the process, because we know when you just make a baby, all of the information is coming at you at the same time. And, we want to reassure you and make sure you're feeling comfortable doing what you need to do as a new mom. So when you come, you have several visits that you come and visit us for. That falls under checkups and also vaccination. We carry out the St. Martin National Immunization Program. So you can see it starts at 2 months and then it ends at 9 years. So when you come for your first checkup, we won't be giving you vaccines, but we're getting to know you and your child. So let's say if there are any medical indications or anything that happened during labor or pregnancy, we get updated on that, and then we know how best to help you and your child when you come for your visits. When you come for your second month visit, there is when we start vaccines. You also get information. We do the development check and we make sure everything is going good. So throughout the visits, you'll get this different information: breastfeeding, cleaning of the mouth, dental care, speech, social behaviors, and all of that.
All right, let's break it down a little bit as it relates to the National Immunization Program. Explain that in its detailed form so that people can get a proper understanding of exactly how it works.
So it begins by us. We are the holders of all the information when it comes to your vaccines for the Dutch side of the island. So if you're coming from away or if your baby is born, you come to us for your vaccines. We're the national, you can say, department that gives vaccines. Now, the vaccines that we give are all based on childhood diseases to help prevent you from getting any one of those. One of them are mostly commonly known as polio is one of the ones that we are giving. So we treat diphtheria, tetanus, polio, measles, mumps, rubella, Hep B, and also pneumococcal vaccine we give in that program. It differs per country, but we have our schedule we give to the parents when they come in.
Is there starting or is there an age range there? Starting again, you said from 2. Does it have an end age?
Yes, so we start at 2 and it ends at 9. However, in the first year, you get the different doses back to back for it to work well within your system. So, for instance, the schedule is 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 12 months, 15 months, and then you have a break until the age of 4, and then again at 9.
Ivanka, as it relates to the vaccines administered at the various points in age, what are those vaccines?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, we have several diseases that we're protecting against.
Mm-hmm.
So we start off first at 2 months with diphtheria, tetanus, and polio Hib vaccine, which is a combination of 5 different vaccines in one. Then we have a Hep B, which is the second vaccine. So at your first vaccination session, you will get 2 vaccines. It will be repeated at the third month, and then the fourth month, the pneumococcal vaccine will be introduced along with the diphtheria, tetanus, and polio vaccine. Then you get a short break of 2 months in between, and then we go over to 6 months where you get the last Hep B and your second dose of pneumococcal vaccine. Then we do have visits in between, which is at the ninth month to continuously check how the child is growing. However, your next vaccine will be due at 12 months, which would be your fourth dose of diphtheria, tetanus, and polio, and then your measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. Yeah. Then the last one will be given at the last set will be given at 15 months, which is your last dose of PCV, which is pneumococcal vaccine, and also your second measles, mumps, rubella. Then the children get a break until the age of 4 when they go over to the school program.
We're having a conversation with Miss Ivanca Sterling, CPS representative at Collective Prevention Services, Section Youth Healthcare under the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor.
Do you know there is such a thing as teen dating violence? Seriously, there is. When your boyfriend or girlfriend is controlling your every move, trolling you online, checking your social media page, recording you without your permission, or forcing you to do things you don't want to do, this is abuse. If you find yourself in this situation, please talk to someone you can trust. Your parents, school counselor, or the police.
This message has been brought to you by Women's Desk.
Hi, everyone. If you're just tuning in, I'm having a conversation with Miss Ivanca Sterling. She's the CPS, Collective Prevention Service representative under Section Youth Healthcare at the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor. We're talking about, or we left off in the first segment talking about the immunization program that's executed here on St. Martin. Ivanca, one of the questions that comes to mind immediately is what is the procedure? Just as a sidebar question, what's the procedure immediately for children who might have an adverse reaction to vaccines? What is the procedure in that situation?
Well, if a child has an adverse reaction, the suggestion would be to go to your emergency room or your house doctor because it can happen at the night, not right away sometimes, because it's up to 48 hours. You can see an adverse reaction to the vaccines. So if it happens in the night, it's recommended to go directly to the emergency room for treatment. And if it happens in the day, you go to your house doctor. If it happens, you would need to report back to us what kind of reaction was it. Was it a high fever? Was it hives? Was it any discoloration of the skin, breathing issues that we can make sure have it in the child's file, that the vaccines can be stopped immediately until further instruction is given by the pediatrician.
The immunization program, you left off talking about the various age groups and the respective vaccines that are administered. I understand also that there's the school program version. Can we get into details? First of all, I keep on hearing you mention it. I want to be able to define what is the school program. Let our audience know.
Okay, so the school program is the next phase after you are finished with the baby clinic. So between the ages of 4 to 17, you still have to come to us for that information when it comes to your vaccine. So for instance, when a child makes 3, the next appointment will be made for 4, where they will get their vaccines. However, if we do not catch you within that program by making your appointment, we will get a name list, because we have close collaboration with the schools, where we will get the name list on a yearly basis, updating us on which children are in school and which classes they're in. Based on our information and our files that we have here at the Vineyard, we go through them to see who would need vaccines, who's already up to date, or we don't have the children in our system. So once we can verify who you are, your date of birth, and if you qualify for vaccines, which happens at the age of 4 or at the age of 9, then we send you a letter.
Developmental goals of babies is the next subject that I would like to get into. Explain exactly what that means in general and take us through the various steps. What are you looking for in the developmental goals of our babies when they're born and developing?
Okay, so there are different aspects that we pay attention to. So the social aspect, the motoric skills, the communication. So when the baby first comes, it may seem like they're not doing nothing much but eating and sleeping. However, their little twitching or their response to watching you in your face and looking at you, then we're observing to see if the child is really hearing you, if the child is responding back to those little suggestions that we make. So when they come to the clinic and they're having their visits, each visit has their particular goals that we're looking for. So for instance, when a baby comes in at 2 months, we are going to speak to the baby, communicate with the baby, smile, play with the baby to see if the child is smiling back at us. We're checking to see if the motoric skills are there, if the baby is lifting their hands, moving it back and forth, moving their feet. That tells us that everything is going good with their motoric skills, the communication part, and also, like as I indicated, the smiling and so those are certain things we're looking at 2 months. When a child is 6 months, we're looking to see if they're moving their body parts all at the same time, if they're trying to roll over, if they're trying to sit, if they're trying to communicate by how do you say, cooing or making sounds. So we're looking for those different things to make sure the child is following their developmental goals as they go along. We also make notes of it, and if there's an indication that certain things are not happening, we can refer them to the pediatrician for further observation.
Ivanka, what do you say to parents who might not go as far and they're making sure that the developmental goals of their child is monitored appropriately? They might stop right after vaccinations. What would your recommendation be to parents when it comes to making sure that their child's developmental goals are met at each point?
So our suggestion is always to make sure you come to your appointments from 2 months straight down to the 4 years. Why? If if we see something that is not going good, we can always make sure you come back and we double check to make sure that the baby is following their part, the toddler is following their part, to make sure that they're growing how they should, because you want to avoid any developmental issues when they're in the school. When you're not speaking well, you start school right now, we start school from early stimulation. So if they're not growing well, you will see a delay in that day, or it would have a problem with, okay, the teacher is not understanding the child, or the child is not speaking clear enough. So we can signal that in time, that the referral can go to the pediatrician for the speech therapist. So we can make sure that everything is going how it should be when you're in your learning process, because you want to give the child the best care possible, the best chances possible in learning. So it's the best thing to do is find it out earlier as possible, that you can tackle it in time.
Mobility development. Is that something that's monitored as well? And what exactly do you look for there?
So with mobility, from birth, a baby moves in a particular way. So they would move their hands and feet all at the same time. If we notice, let's say the left hand is not moving, or the child is not adequately moving its head, or it's staying in a position for too long of a time, our suggestion would be to visit the doctor for physical therapy, which we do have a child physical therapist here on the island also. So we would refer them back to the pediatrician to see what can be done. And we continue to monitor as they grow. Like I said, there's particular steps. So they start to move from side to side, then they start to roll, then they start to sit. From there, they try to go on all fours to start crawling, and from there, they start to try hang on holding on to get up. So all of those things we're looking for. As we said, we indicated it can have a delay. It can have a small delay, like a month or two, but then we're going to bring you back to make sure that, okay, it's going how it should be going in between of that time. So when we see it, we tell the parents, okay, try do more exercise or tummy time with them, for them to build the strength in their muscles, for them to continue doing this at home.
St. Martin, if you're just tuning in, I'm having a conversation with Miss Ivanca Sterling at Section Youth Healthcare under the Department of Collective Prevention Services. Stay tuned. My conversation with Ivanca continues as we get into dental care services coming up right after the break. Stay with us.
St. Martin, the time to join the fight against heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancer is now. The Ministry of VSA, in collaboration with SZV and PAHO, are launching a nationwide health survey that's coming to a district near you. During the months of July to October, you may be chosen to participate by our fieldwork interviewers. Get near instant results for your blood pressure, cholesterol, BMI, and glucose. For more information, contact us via stepsurvey@stmartingov.org.
Hi, everyone. If you're just tuning in, I'm having a conversation with Miss Ivanca Sterling of CPS, Collective Prevention Services, under Section Youth Healthcare. Ivanca is our specialist, and we're talking to her about various forms of youth healthcare that is offered at her department. We left off talking about the developmental goals that are expected when you are having first-time moms and you're having a child, what can be expected. Now, as I mentioned, dental care services is also another service that's offered under youth health care. Ivanca, take us through that. Explain, how does dental service work under youth health care?
Okay, so the dental service that we have is basically a support of prevention, a prevention method, you can say, as we are trying to prevent cavities, tooth decay, and all those different things. So the first check would happen when the teeth come in, the first tooth. We start to inform the parents that they should start brushing and making sure that they take care of the child's teeth as soon as they're born, as soon as they start to grow, because you want to prevent those other complications from happening throughout the years. So when the teeth come in, they get the information for the brushing, when they should start using toothpaste. If there's any tooth decay we start to see, we ask our dental assistant who's in house to come and check, and she will go over the information with you and what to do to help prevent it from getting worse. And if it's really bad, then we refer on to the dentist.
Now, we know that dental care is definitely not one of those cheap services that exists anywhere. It's a very expensive service, but it's all about prevention. Um, Is there a possibility? How does government cover this if they do or they don't? Explain. Just in case someone's watching, they're thinking government offers dental care. Is that the case?
No, it's not dental care, it's dental prevention. So we're trying to prevent future problems from taking place. So if you have it down pack on how to take care of your teeth and using less sugars, using less sweets, candy, cake, those things from now when the child is younger, you're preventing the permanent teeth from being destroyed, because we do know that dental care is very expensive in St. Martin and it's not covered. So it comes out of pocket, which is hard at times, but prevention is better than cure.
Absolutely. Does your department offer information sessions? Because there's so much to cover and we have so little time. Um, do you have information sessions where you can further educate individuals? And if you do, explain how that works and what is offered in those sessions.
So yes, within the department, we do have information sessions. However, it's in collaboration with our other section, which is general healthcare, where we go out to the schools and give basic information on hygiene. We give basic information, as you know, about the dental. So if the school requests, let's say that they would like to give their group 7, 8 information on basic hygiene, which is taking care of their bodies, taking care of their hair, taking care of their teeth. We do provide that information within the schools, within the higher grades. So it's group 7, group 8, in collaboration with the general healthcare.
Breastfeeding, another feature, especially your department coming out of that just a few weeks ago, I believe it was.
Yes, from the 1st of August to the 7th of August is known as World Breastfeeding Week.
And how did that
So
go?
that was wonderful. We had different activities that took place in collaboration with the medical center and the gynecologists on the islands, where we had a photo competition where they could have submitted their pictures, and at the end they would win prizes. The press release is coming soon where you can see who all the winners were. And we also had a mom to mom session where moms came together, expecting mom that already had their babies, and they got information about how to take care of the breastfeeding, what challenges they're having, if what they can do better or how they can do it better with each other's advice.
It's a very sensitive time for first-time mothers, and it's very important for them to get as much information as possible. I'm sure that there's some significant amount of myths that come along with breastfeeding. What are some of the myths that do come with breastfeeding, and how does your department go about busting those myths?
So during these conversations, also when you're having your checkup, some persons come with the ideas that they hear from the older folks or they read on the internet, or you can put different things on your breast, or you can drink certain things to help produce milk. So we try and correct it as much as possible, because we do not tell you differ from the information you receive, but we better structure the information that you get in. One that we commonly hear is the first couple weeks you're not getting any milk, which is not true. You're getting colostrum. Colostrum is very important for the baby to build the immune system. So we do tell you go ahead and continue to breastfeed. Of course, your support system is very important, because when you have a good support system, you won't feel as exhausted and you would feel the help coming through that you need to take care and give your baby all the needs and the nutrition that they need. So continue to make sure put your baby on the breast and take your time. There's no rush. Relax. Get a pillow. Put it under the baby. Talk to your baby. Have a bonding moment, bonding time with your child.
Section youth health care, I'm sure you get to the point where these children get into their teenage years, and sexual education is a key factor as our children enter into their tertiary education. Um, the process there, what are the sessions that are offered as it relates to sexual education? And who do you collaborate with in order to get that information out?
Yes, I was just coming to that. So we collaborate with the AIDS Foundation. Some of us go out to the school as volunteers to give that information when it comes to girl power and real talk. This happens throughout the year. They also have a collaboration with all the high schools on the island where we go to the schools and we give this information. Of course, we would love to have more volunteers that we can get the information out as much as possible, that we can help empower youths and inform them the correct way on bringing sexual education out there.
Well, we don't have as much time as we would like to have. I'm going to give you the opportunity now, Ivanca, to provide final words and opportunity to inform the public with any final points.
We didn't get much of a chance, but we do have the school program, as I mentioned before, which starts from the age of 4. So the parents continuously get letters from us, especially when we do not have any information for the children. And with that, we are just asking to have this information updated in our system, that we can make sure provide the best coverage as possible, because we would want our island to be protected and to prevent any outbreaks on the island. So if you are coming from away or you're living here and you receive your vaccine elsewhere other than by us, which is at the 3 doctors that vaccinate on the island, or the French side, as that's the other side of the island, all we need is a copy of that information to make sure update our list. We are trying to make sure our island is protected. We are also trying to make sure our children are protected. So as long as we get that information in, we can continuously have our records up to date. Now, of course, we do ask everyone to hold on to their book, their vaccination book, whether it's from us or whichever other country you come from. Make sure hold on to that, because that's like your vaccination passport. If it's lost or you never brought it to us, we do not have that information. So we're asking you, just like how we safeguard our passport, we safeguard our vaccination records. Of course, if it's lost, we do have it on file. You can always come and get a vaccination letter. But of course, that's if it's lost. Protect it, save it, safeguard it as much as possible. And remember, please bring it to us, because we've had situations where persons are traveling and going away. They're coming to us for a record, but we've sent all of the letters, but we've never received any information. Now you're going away to college and your college is requiring you to have certain vaccines. You're coming for us to fill in a paper stating that you received your vaccines, but we have no info. So please continuously update us with whatever changes. And of course, if you do need your vaccine up until the age of 17, we can give it to you based on our national immunization program.
Miss Ivanca Sterling, CPS representative under Section Youth Healthcare under the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor. Ivanca, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm sure this is not going to be the last conversation we have with you before 2023 is over. We look forward to having you again to give us more information as it relates to Section Youth Healthcare under CPS. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome, Cedric. Thank you for having me.
And to our radio listeners, television viewers, and online viewers, thank you for tuning in and being a part of this conversation with Miss Ivanca Sterling. If you missed it, be sure to catch video on demand at the official Facebook page of the Government of St. Martin. That's facebook.com/SXMGOV. We invite you to subscribe to the official YouTube channel of the Government of St. Martin at youtube.com/Government of St. Martin. And for audio playback, be sure to tune in to St. Martin Gov Radio 107.9 FM throughout the course of the day. On behalf of my colleagues at CPS under the Ministry of Public Health, Social Development, and Labor, and all of us here at the Department of Communication, I'm Cedric Peterson. Thanks so much for tuning in.